Thank you, Chair, and thank you for this opportunity to speak with the committee today. My name, as you said, is Dr. Alan Renwick. I'm Deputy Director of the Constitution Unit at University College London, which is a research centre focusing on how best to structure and operate democratic politics. And I'm Chair of the Working Group on Unification Referendums on the island of Ireland. As you've said, I'm joined by 3 other members of the Working Group. We were due, I should say, also to be joined today by Professor Brendan O'Leary from the University of Pennsylvania and Queen's University Belfast. Sadly, Brendan was forced earlier today to drop out, but he sends his apologies and great regrets on having to be absent. If I may, I will, in these opening remarks, quickly introduce 3 things: why we created the working group, the nature of the working group, and the group's interim conclusions. So we created the working group because referendums on the unification question might happen. If they happen, it's important that they be conducted well, but they can be conducted well only if someone thinks through what that would involve, and no one has yet done that thinking fully. We wanted to help fill that gap. We did not create the working group because we thought that referendums are imminent. The evidence is that a majority in Northern Ireland would currently vote for maintaining the union against unification, but clearly no one can know how opinion might evolve over time. As to the nature of the working group, we're looking at how any future referendums on the constitutional status of Northern Ireland would best be designed and conducted. We have no collective view on whether such votes would be desirable or what the outcome should be if referendums were to be held. The group is based at the Constitution Unit at University College London and comprises 12 experts from Trinity College Dublin, University College Dublin, Queen's University Belfast, Ulster University and the University of Pennsylvania, as well as UCL. And our expertise spans political science, law, sociology and history. Turning to the group's interim conclusions, I'll say, if I may, a few things about just a few of our key findings. As a starting point, we assume that any referendums would be conducted within the terms of the Belfast Good Friday Agreement. So we start by setting out what that entails. As is well known, unification could not happen without a referendum vote in its favour in Northern Ireland, and we conclude that a referendum would be required in the south as well, either amending or replacing the constitution. The Secretary of State for Northern Ireland must call a referendum if a majority for unification appears to him or her likely. A referendum in the south wouldn't have to be on the same day, it could come later, but the same proposal would have to be put to voters both north and south. The threshold in each referendum would be a simple majority of 50% plus 1. If that threshold were met in both jurisdictions, then unification would have to take place. So the majority principle applies to the decision on sovereignty itself, but on other matters, the 1998 agreement's wider ethos of seeking to proceed by consensus should be upheld as far as possible. So that's the 1998 agreement, but there are many other matters that the agreement does not resolve, which our report examines in depth. And if I may, let me state 3 broad conclusions that we reach on these. First, it would be highly unwise for referendums to be called without a clear plan for the referendums and other associated processes. These would be complex processes and poorly designed could lead to problems. Such a plan would need to be agreed by the governments in close consultation with others. We do not say when planning should begin. That's a political matter. We recognise that it's a very sensitive matter. But a plan should be agreed by the time any referendum is called. Second, there are several plausible configurations of referendums north and south, with referendums coming relatively early in the process, before the details of a united Ireland have been worked out, or later, once a plan has been developed. We'll be happy, of course, to go into further details. For now, let me just say that there's no perfect approach. Each configuration has advantages and disadvantages. And finally, the conduct rules for any referendums would be crucial. Existing campaign rules are badly out of date in the digital age in both the UK and Ireland and urgently need to be strengthened. So I hope these headlines give a flavour of the working group's analysis. So far, we've produced an interim report last November presenting our draft conclusions. So we're keen to hear your questions and reflections. and we plan to release our final report later in 2021. Thank you.